Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers is the 6th installment in the Halloween series. It is also by far the most confusing, convoluted, and messy one. It's spanning over 2 different versions of the movie, having 2 completely different endings, very questionable character decisions, a whole cult side plot thrown in there to give a motivation behind Michael Myers, which completely ruins the entity that is Michael Myers himself. So Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, no 6. Let's start off with the theatrical cut, because that's the one people are probably most familiar with, because that's the one that came out in theaters. Then they later released the producer's cut, which was the actual first cut of the movie that they made that failed miserably upon test screenings. Here with AJ and Luke as always. And I'm Dylan. So part 6, not part 6. I'm going to keep saying part 6 because I guess
that's okay.
It's nothing wrong to say part 6. It is part 6.
In fact, it's part 6. It's also known as Halloween 6 anyway.
I think the producer's cut is the only one that it kept the 6. I think in the theatrical cut, one of the changes that they made was that they dropped the 6. Because I think it
was going to be Halloween 666.
That's right. What goes on in this one? Holy crap, a lot happens in this one that it's going to we'll just do a quick breakdown because to sit here and try to explain every little thing that happened in this one is going to be so hard because we've got 2 different cuts of the movie that kind of go in 2 different directions. So starting with the theatrical cut, we're back in Haddonfield. Jamie it's explained kind of in the opening that Jamie was kidnapped by a cult that is ran by the infamous Man in Black that we knew nothing about in the first 2 films, but still introduced him. Jamie has a baby, and it's 6 years later, so she was God, how old was she in 5?
Yeah, I have no idea how old
I think she was around 7.
Yeah. But yeah.
So she's 12
so,
in The Curse of Michael Myers. She's got a baby. The cult wants the baby for some reason. Michael, god damn, this movie sucks so bad. It's so hard.
Poorly written that it doesn't even make sense. Not with the series, but within its own movie.
Right. It really tried to do its own thing, I think, in this one. And God, in doing that, they just kind of screwed up literally everything. So in the theatrical cut, there's a baby. She's got it. Make a long story short, Michael's back in Haddonfield. And he starts killing teenagers again. Only this time there's a cult involved. The cult is somehow masterminding Michael Myers to kill all these people. And then
it makes him a pawn.
He's like a pawn in the greater scheme of this cult. Which sucks because it's we thought 5 did a lot against Michael Myers' character in this one. 6 just completely throws him out the window. Mm-hmm. Paul Rudd is in this one.
And he's Tommy Doyle.
And he's Tommy Doyle from part 1.
This is the first starring role.
Yeah.
For
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
You mean as in
any film?
What?
And later that year in 1995, he did Clueless,
which was a
notable film in his
which is what people
know him for.
When people talk about Paul Rudd, they say his first film was Clueless, but it's no, actually it was Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers, and everyone goes, "What the hell is that?"
Weird. That's just weird to me.
So Tommy Doyle's back, and he's fucked in the head and super weird and creepy because I guess he's scarred from the events that took place in part 1 when his babysitter, Laurie Strode, was attacked by just some masked maniac, and everything was good and fun and scary. Now things are confusing and fun, but for all the wrong reasons, and not that scary. So Tommy Doyle's there, and he's kind of been digging into this whole Curse of the Thorn thing, which dates back to the cult. And Jamie is killed off from literally in the first 15 minutes of the movie, so she's gone. Nothing.
Let's talk about her death real quick, though.
In the theatrical cut, she is brutally murdered and thrown upon
gruesome.
what is that thing she's thrown upon?
I don't know what it was.
Some kind of saw, some kind of cutting mechanism.
It's farm machinery.
He turns it on. It's just you just see it going through her body.
Yeah, and she's like, "You can't have the baby, Michael." To which Tommy Doyle later finds just randomly in a bus station, like in a cabinet.
Yeah, the baby had been crying in a public restroom. And then Tommy was the only one who went in there and found it.
That says more about the people of Haddonfield than it does, the actual movie. I mean, if you think about it, these people in Haddonfield do suck because
I think after a while of just having everyone they know just get brutally murdered by a sociopath, psychopath.
There's a baby crying in the bathroom.
Oh, they only care about themselves.
Fuck it, man. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
At least we don't got Michael Myers to deal with.
That is true, though.
Oh God! And then the neighbor girl, this family, the Strode family, who is the aunt and uncle to Laurie Strode's adoptive parents. They are living in the Myers house for some reason, because I guess they just didn't know or didn't care that Michael Myers had killed anyone. It's actually revealed in the movie that the family did not know it was the Myers house, except for the alcoholic asshole father. So there's a new Jamie and Rachel kind of scenario with this new girl and her son. This new girl, I guess, kind of has a rough past. What's her name? Does anyone remember any of the characters' names in this movie?
I didn't think they had any names in this movie.
This movie was so hard to follow.
Yeah, like you really didn't learn the characters' names, but there's Kara.
Okay.
Danny,
I remember Danny.
Yeah, the girl, she went off to school and came back home to live with them, and everyone's being an asshole to her.
Oh,
the dad, her dad is just like a terrible piece of shit.
And Danny has like weird kind of like psychopathic tendencies that Michael had, and that's never really explained in both.
It's kind of like what Jamie had.
Kind of,
yeah.
But they were in no way related, so it's like, how does it? I think they tried to explain it that since he's living in the Myers house, the Myers house has something to do with why kids go crazy.
Can I bring that up?
Sure.
That was one of the most shocking, terrible parts of this movie, Halloween 6, was that everyone is living, a whole family is living in the Myers house, and the only person who knows that it's Myers house is the man, the jerk father.
Right.
He knows it because he bought it and he didn't tell them.
From his brother's real estate company.
But they live in a very small town. They couldn't go to school there without people saying you live in the Myers house.
Yeah, exactly. Then no one would have gotten by with letting those people live there. With at least one person being like, that's the boogeyman's house.
When there's that Halloween celebration in that park, that's when they find out. Someone's like, oh, by the way, you live in the Myers house. And that radio DJ.
Yeah, it's like live on the air, and the guy's like, I do.
Yeah.
Good house.
So he basically lets everyone in the town know that, and then he lets Michael Myers know that those people live there.
The DJ. Can we talk about the DJ?
One of the worst characters of the whole franchise.
He's got really no reason to be there. What was the DJ's name? They had T-shirts with it. My man. It said like
I don't know. He was a gross person.
He was dime store. Howard Stern is what he was. Yeah. Honestly, you guys, if you've seen the movie and you know what we're talking about, you know how hard this movie kind of is to describe and articulate, because it really is just a mess of a movie.
At times, I had a nice little 90s feel. I was getting the 90s horror feel. I was like, okay, this kind of feels like...
At times,
it kind of had that teenage, a little bit of that... I don't know what movie to compare it to, but a cheesy 90s horror movie leading up to that scene at the park at the festival.
Right.
But everything after that is just terrible. It just goes down in this road where it's just an awful movie.
I mean, it's convoluted. So Tommy Doyle, he's the guy who has researched the Curse of the Thorn, which we'll just go into that really quick. So the Curse of Thorn is this like constellation in the sky that aligns every Halloween. And Michael has had this curse cast upon him that he has to kill every family member in his bloodline until, the curse is lifted off of him. And a cult is there doing, a part of the curse for some reason.
They're helping out Michael Myers.
They're not. I don't think they're helping him out. I think like Michael Myers is helping them out because like the cult is like
There was no logic to it.
there was no rhyme or reason.
And then we got back into it. It was almost like a shout out to Halloween 2 because it became a hospital movie again.
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, Luke, that was just the theatrical cut. Then it became a hospital movie again.
I've never seen the producer's cut.
Thank yourself for not suffering through it like me and AJ did. It was pretty bad.
Oh, you guys watched the theatrical cut?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I watched the producer's cut, and
Exploding Head.
Yeah, Exploding Head was not in the one I watched.
Oh, you
Not in
missed
the
out.
producer's cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have jumped up and cheered if you saw it.
So, I don't really want to get into the freaking technicalities of this movie because the movie just as a whole did not make a whole lot of sense. So let's just jump right into the differences between the theatrical cut and the producer's cut.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a whim here and say that the theatrical cut had better kills and a little better pacing. And the producer's cut had a little bit more of explanations to things. Like it kind of was a little more focused, but it lacked in kills and pacing because the producer's cut was dreadfully slow. So first difference would be right off the bat, the theatrical cut opens with Paul Rudd doing the opening narration as Tommy Doyle, kind of doing a recap of 4 and 5 a little bit, but then also kind of explaining, what's going on currently in 6. Whereas the producer's cut has Loomis kind of doing a similar thing. I don't think the narrations are identical. I think they're kind of different, but I think they roughly do the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention that closely to either of them to care. Because, after you watch the theatrical cut, you're like, do I have to go back and watch the producer's cut? It really doesn't. It's not like a better movie by any means.
Growing up, watching AMC's Fear Fest,
Yeah.
and being aware of Halloween, the whole series, the franchise, this is the only film, Halloween 6, that I didn't know even existed.
Really?
Because I think it's so bad that they don't really play it on TV. Like, I've never seen it shown anywhere.
I actually, when we first started watching it, because I don't think I've seen it either. So I was like, okay, well, and as soon as we fired it up, I remember the opening scene where the kids are putting he's coming back, Michael Myers sign in the front yard, and the father's like, "You damn kids!" I remember seeing that on AMC one year.
Oh, really?
And being like, "Okay, I do remember this one." I hadn't seen it per se, but I was like, "I do know. I am aware of this."
But
one
you know
now.
how there's several in the series that are well known.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the sequels, there are a few
Oh yeah,
that are.
I think 4 is probably like the biggest sequel.
4 is played a lot. H2O.
Yeah.
I would say even 2 is played a lot.
Right.
But there are a few in this series that I didn't know existed. I mean, this is the one I didn't even know existed.
For good
Just
reasons.
the fact that they have 2 different versions. And
Yeah.
it's because of what was it, Dylan? It's because of the bad. They had test screens.
In the
test
so
screening or whatever.
they did the producer's cut, as stated previously, was the original cut of the film. Like that was the movie that they were originally intending to release to audiences.
Right.
But upon having test screenings, which the actor who plays Jamie in the movies said consisted of primarily 14-year-old boys, which I thought was just kind of a funny little thing. That a group of 14-year-old boys had control over this movie. Probably explains why it turned out the way it did.
So terrible.
But after they screened it, they obviously got a lot of negative feedback from it because, for starts, it's a terrible movie. And so they went back and did a lot of reshoots and re-edits to kind of put something, something like they were trying to take a steaming pile of dog shit and turn it into a steaming pile of cat shit is I think what they were trying to do.
Oh man, I don't know which one I'd want.
Exactly. You don't want either of them.
You don't want either.
But so going back to the differences of
So like Luke said, the kills. There's a lot more graphic kills. Actually kind of badass kills, like the Jamie one.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie dies by a silenced pistol.
Yeah, they just
on her head.
They just murk her in the hospital.
Yeah, which isn't even by Michael. It's by the Man in Black.
The curse. The
which
Man
we
in Black.
find later that was Wynn, which was a friend of Dr.
Who was
Loomis.
also a character in the first one.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. Well, very briefly.
I thought the
okay.
creepiest scene was all those doctors and everyone who's in on that cult.
Yeah.
When they were taking off their robes and going into the hospital room together. Kind of seeing them all acting as a unit kind of creeped me out.
Yeah.
Cults are creepy inherently.
Now, in the version I watched, the producer's cut, you actually you don't see it exactly, but Michael, well, you find out Michael's baby is Jamie's baby.
In the producer's cut, that's another
There's a
one.
lot more cult in in that one.
Yeah, they explain the cult a little better. And
So, like,
it's
Michael and Jamie.
Michael is Uncle Daddy to Jamie.
And you see him like get ready to.
He like.
It's just weird.
It's weird.
I don't even want to say it because
super
it's just
weird.
like it's not Michael. Like
they kind of sexualized him in 6 because there's even in the opening of 6, everyone's listening to the radio and they're having like a special on Michael Myers, and the one girl calls in and is like, "I think he's sexy."
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah,
but it made sense to me because there'd be someone out there be like, "Oh, he's so mysterious." Like, I love him, and they're just like, "You idiot."
Yeah,
like, you idiot girl.
Like, you've only seen the first 2 movies then. So I do love how they introduce Loomis in both of them, though, like where he's retired and he's like got his nice little country home and he's like writing his novel about his life work, and he's listening to the radio, and someone in the radio is like, "Whatever happened to that Dr. Loomis guy? I heard he's dead."
And he had a stash of liquor.
Yeah.
I mean, he had
anyone would
dozens and dozens and dozens of bottles of.
But I love that line. He like turns away from his typewriter for one moment and he says, "Not dead, just very much retired."
Oh, but it's like, God, that made me mad because it was so in your like face. It was like so fake.
Oh, and then there was also, how like we were complaining how in part 4 when he comes back, we're like, why isn't Loomis all burnt up like he should be?
Yeah,
and
you
then
explain that.
In part 5, they don't really talk about it at all, but he still isn't like all that burned up. It isn't until 6 that they answer that question. There's a one little moment of dialogue where Wynn comes to visit him, and he goes, "You're looking great," and he goes, "Thanks. I had a skin graft and cleared me up." He's like, "Now I won't scare children away anymore," and it's like, you never really did.
Yeah.
Like, anyways, that was cleared up though, so they closed that door. Another difference between theatrical and producer's cut would be the ending.
Let's talk about the ending.
The endings are drastically different from one another.
So how did the ending work or go down in the theatrical?
In the theatrical version, Paul Rudd takes a lead pipe, I believe, and smashes Michael Myers repeatedly until the point that he thinks he is dead and walks away.
It is the same as 5. He shoots him with some green goo too. There's green goo.
It's not green goo. He uses a medical product. It's what's it called?
I don't know. It's green goo.
He has a syringe full of something you would put someone out.
Like a tranquilizer?
Nah.
Then it's exactly like 5 because Loomis also tranks him and beats him.
So your guys' version had a very much like
a little bit more of a
Halloween
a physical
ending. like a Michael Myers ending.
Yeah. Whereas
now AJ, tell me about the ending of the producer's cut.
So the producer's cut. Well, Dylan did watch it with me. He was nice enough to watch both of these.
And
I wasn't able to make it to movie night with them, so I had to watch this on my own.
I've been contemplating ending it ever since.
But we watched it, and it was more about like a cult. I mean, it had
they focus more on the cult in the producer's cut.
Paul Rudd, Tommy Doyle. He like figures out he's done research on the thorn, finds a counteractive spell, or how would you explain that? Ritual to
with
do
some pebbles.
With some pebbles, he just puts them on the ground. It stops Michael in his tracks.
Yeah,
and then he escapes with the girl. And then Loomis and him.
Loomis gets somehow has the tattoo appears on his wrist of the thorn.
Yeah.
And Loomis starts screaming into just screaming, and then it kind of ends there.
Ooh, and then
Michael
in the theater version, you hear Loomis scream in the background. Me and Dylan were talking about it's probably they use that same sound, but then for what I mean.
Whereas in the theatrical cut, I think it alludes to that Michael kills Loomis.
Yeah,
and so because it ends on Loomis's screams, but I think we thought that they just took the screams from the end of producer's cut and just cut them into the theatrical.
And then you get a really nice rest in peace.
In memory of Dr. Donald Pleasence. Yeah, they were just. I mean, there was the differences are black day and night almost. They left a lot of the same in there. I mean, six. The theatrical cut has better kills and a little better pacing, but shitty editing.
Oh, really bad editing, because you were showing me things from it. I was like, why didn't they just keep that in? I mean, it didn't even make sense.
It didn't make sense. Yeah, they cut literally like seconds out of scenes. That was like, why wouldn't you just leave it in? Like, what would the difference be?
There was this scene where the woman is thrown out the.
She jumps out the window, and then it fades to black, and then it fades back from black to the same shot.
And see, for the producer's cut, you actually saw what happened. It was like they. What was it? They took her to the. They took her to the.
That's a difference. Yeah,
they took her to the wherever
that place was.
Some weird sacrifice.
Kind of place. Like it was like a hospital. It was like an asylum of some kind.
Like you had your underground weird satanic thing, and then you also had like a
jail
state of the art.
There were hospital rooms. There were like jail cells. Like I don't. What was this place?
It was something.
Yeah, that was another difference from the producer's cut. Is like they have a scene where that girl's tied up and she's going to be the sacrifice or something, and then the baby's was the baby there? What happened to the baby?
Oh, they took it. They took it with them.
What happens to the baby at the? Oh, that's right. They took it with them. In both versions, they get away. Right. And they take the baby.
Same scene on that. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of Donald Pleasence, so he died nearly 8 months before the film was released. This was
his last movie.
And that's how bad the film was.
Not to make it kill him. Not to make a joke, but it's probably a good thing he died before that movie released, before he knew how terrible of a movie.
I mean, the last thing put to screen was
that's the last thing you want to know is you made that, and that's your last movie.
Yeah, the producers, the Halloween Curse of Michael Myers was just a very sloppy, convoluted, confusing mess of a movie. It kind of Michael Myers is his laziest in this one. He doesn't do much. Donald Pleasence literally doesn't do anything because he's retired, but he still comes back to Haddonfield and kind of does his whole shtick of he's pure evil.
Okay, I just read something really interesting about the producer's cut. So when the movie released. VHS or whatever, it was the theater cut or the theatrical cut. Fans later found the original work print of the film and started releasing bootleg DVDs and selling them on eBay and other places.
Interesting.
And so it wasn't until 2014 did they officially release the producer's cut, which was on Blu-ray. So actually, the producer's cut is kind of a new movie.
Interesting.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
And it has a following.
Cult following for the cult movie. The cult version.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought the producer's cut was something that just kind of always existed. I didn't know it was like a bootleg. Were fans I guess it had to have been a little hard to find.
Yeah.
So were they let's watch I guess this one's better, and then when they actually got a copy of it and could watch it, I just want to know what their reactions were. They're really? It's still shit though, because a lot of people say that the producer's cut is better, and I'm I don't know which one. It's hard to say which one's better because they're both just really bad.
Well, theatrical cut had a better ending, better kills or whatever.
I think it would be really fun to try to cut both of the films together.
A whole movie.
Leave in all the good kills from theatrical, and then leave in a bunch of stuff from the producer's cut.
Oh, and actually fix it?
And try to make a movie that kind of finds the middle balance between the two. That would be fun.
Yeah, really though.
It would probably still be a shitty movie, though.
Oh, I know what I want to talk about. The Halloween festival where the radio DJ is and all that.
We already talked about it.
I want to talk about the tree.
Oh, yeah.
So he kills him, and which is a really creepy part because Tommy Doyle hears this girl singing It's raining blood,
That
mommy.
was the creepiest part. It's raining red.
Yeah, it's raining red, mommy. Or
And,
something
and
like
then
that.
she turns towards him and goes, "It's warm."
Yeah, and then he looks up, and it's just that DJ in the tree. I was like, okay, Dylan, how did the hell did Michael have time
in
to
the
put
middle
this dude
of the
in the
festival?
Tree? And not only did he put him in the tree, he wrapped him up in the Halloween decoration lights.
And the lights were on. Yeah. Where did he plug them in at?
And then it's surrounded by all these people. So it's just
Michael's good, man. He's just good.
I think he can just like freeze time.
I bet
his abilities we don't know.
When Michael's walking away from every crime scene, I bet he's just got like a big shit-eating smirk on his face. He's like, "I'm good. I'm just good." But this one takes on a more supernatural kind of aspect to him, so kind of explains a little. I guess that kind of does clear that up a little bit, where it's like, oh, he's just like he's got this curse, this weird supernatural curse.
And it ends, if you think about this, because the next one is H2O, the producer's cut, and the theatrical cut, ends with him still living. Like, there's continuation, but it never, that was just it. So
they flushed him down the toilet. H2O is a sequel to 2?
Correct.
So, they literally took 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And other 6.
That's how bad 6
was. Because remember, in 2, she dies of a car crash. But they don't show it. They reference it.
They just talk about it.
They talk about it. Well, in H2O, allegedly, it is known that she faked a car crash.
So it's a soft reboot. So it doesn't completely dismiss them, but it still kind of restarts.
It dismisses the Thorns series and 3.
Yeah,
but it includes 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Of course, the Thorn series.
So it's a sequel to 2.
I am so ready for H2O.
I am too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna feel like it's gonna hit that really. We're like grew up in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Probably
have that feel.
It's gonna, like, what is it? 98.
98. It has that early 2000s feel.
Yeah, and I want that. That's what I'm waiting for.
Like. So, in every one of these Halloween movies, it's like there's a dry spell where it's like Halloween 1, obviously great. Halloween 2. Not as good as 1, but a pretty decent companion piece to the other one. Then Halloween 3, like, what the hell is going on? Halloween 4, okay, like, this is better, this is good. Like, all right, Halloween 5, what the hell is going on? Like, it's like every other movie in the franchise is like just a head scratcher, except for like 5 and 6 were definitely like the last 2 final nails into the coffin, I think.
So can we go ahead and rate these?
Yes.
Let's do that. I'm gonna give the theatrical cut on a movie level, I'm going to give it a 0 out of 5. On a fun level, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And then the producer's cut, I'm going to give the producer's cut a 1 out of 5. And on a fun level, a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Theatrical cut, from what I've seen of it, it's really bad. I'd probably give it like a 1 out of 5. Fun. Man, it had a lot of great kills, so maybe like 2 out of 5. And then producer's cut, I thought it was really good. Honestly, it kind of felt like a Halloween movie. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. And then fun level, I guess the same, 3 out of 5.
I'm going to give the movie rating a 2 out of 5. And I'm
very generous.
Yeah, very generous. It had a fun 90s feel, which I liked. But then it all kind of went downhill. The first half of the movie, I give it a 2. After seeing the whole thing, 1 or a 2. But the fun feel of the movie, I would say maybe a 2 or a 3. Still pretty low.
It really wasn't like even a fun movie to watch. No. Like, they didn't have like the fun.
It had potential.
It did. It had so much potential.
Didn't fall through.
It didn't fall through. There wasn't even like, I guess the only parts that were like so bad that it's good were more like in like the performances. Like, even though like there really isn't anything like there's no like wacky cops in this one that were kind of like just dupes that you could laugh at because they're terrible. This one was just like, you could the attempts,
they were bad.
The filmmaking,
which is almost unwatchable bad. Not like fun.
It's just cheesy. Not even fun bad. It's just bad.
And the sad thing is it took them 6 years, which is the longest gap, and they took that 6 years off to try, and because 5 was not as good as they wanted it to be.
They missed their mark.
You know what I'm saying? And then not only after that, then they had to make so many different types of versions of the movie because it's like it was just done. It was just bad right after 5. It was bad. It was just downhill from there.
Yeah, 5 definitely was. If you guys are going to watch these movies, you could stop after 4, honestly, and then just go straight to H2O.
Budget was $5 million, and the box office was $15.1 million.
Oh, wow. So it made money.
And it was shot in Salt Lake City.
Mormons. It was the Mormons.
Salt Lake City during winter.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right. So we got H2O next. Dylan, you want to sign us out?
Yeah, you guys. Next episode will be H2O. So if you haven't seen it, watch it before you listen to the podcast, because obviously there's spoilers and stuff. Sorry this one wasn't all that great, but you know what? It's kind of nice it wasn't all that great, because the movies weren't all that great. So fitting, if you ask me. Fitting. If it was also confusing and convoluted, that's also fitting. So yeah, that was the series. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers.